Hello, good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back on another edition of This Morning. How was your weekend? My weekend was great. I mean, I stayed the whole weekend at home. I didn't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I got some friends who called and said, you are at the ST event. I said, no, I am not an evenee. I am a homie. I stay at home, I take care of the family at home. I am not the party type. I don't go out to chill, you understand? Although I got all the chilling abilities to my exposal. I can go and enjoy them. I can make good use of them. But I prefer sitting at home, watch my TV, eat my food, go up and down within the house, How was your weekend, Lolly? She is the co-host of this program today. Lolly, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very much okay, thank God. And it's good to be back here after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so my weekend, unlike you, even though I was home, but I came to work as well, because I worked on weekends as well, except for Sunday. So yesterday we had a naming ceremony. Yeah, my neighbor. So after cooking, relaxed for 2 hours, then dressed and attend, family, neighbor. So it was really, nice. I spent some few hours there, and then got back home, prepare for today. So alhamdulillah, it was okay. Yes.
Exactly. So, I mean, how was the Jambur Kankurang Festival? Please take us through. You are one of the committee members.
Yes.
And, we can see you've been going up and down, making sure it become a success. It's important. Before we introduce the newspaper review guest, tell us, how was it?
Alhamdulillah, Mr. Balde, I'll be very much glad to answer that question. It was really a successful event. This year, the 8th edition really went well. From the planning stage to the festival itself, it was just great. Everybody really did what they could do to make sure the event was a success, and we really thank our partners, because this year we have partners that really came on board, that really supported the event massively. People like institutions like the ITC, the International Trade Center, they really contributed hugely to the success of the event, and we couldn't thank them enough. And also the community of Jambur itself. People realize that the festival is ours, culture is ours, and we really need to make it happen. And everybody came on board to make sure that the event happened.
It was a success.
That's the way we planned it.
That's culture for you.
Yes.
But our newspaper review guest is no other than Mr. Momodou. Good morning, Mr. CD Momodou.
Good morning, Ibrahim.
Who knows the CD name of Mr. Mboj?
Absolutely, even though you missed one, but it doesn't matter. I'll just settle for that. No,
Yeah? He missed one?
Yeah, you should remember. Aliu CD Mboj.
Aliu CD Mboj. Olu mala de kompoli ninde wahe olu winyu. Wahe mantam olu mala de
Mr. Mboj.
Don't forget like a pull or something. Is that it?
Wow.
I think you're ranga si pol then.
I guess I be a story a minute. Nakala spend the weekend. Well, that was the factual account.
Wow.
But I thought this man is telling us a story.
Oh yeah.
As I was listening, this guy was telling us a story.
So you're telling me you have sent some sort of a deception in my narration?
Not deception as such, just a sanitization.
I'm trying to sanitize.
Some bits in it.
So Mungimeli, no. I know where you're coming from. Because I'm on a best. We can be tasing our mom si koñ bi.
So you see?
Send koñ. So nekkul weekend be there, but another weekend.
Te boobu dafa ñëw mu ne dama fen mu ngi woon kër.
Waaw.
Ma ne ko but I saw you.
Why boobu? That was, family errands too. Family errands lañ tase.
So what am Mr. Mboj mu ngi like you tell us a story?
Yeah. No need to worry. We cannot be narrating my stories on TV, live television, for God's sake. Guys, come on. Yeah, so, on the program, we'll take a look at the African code, then the newspaper review. From the review, then we will be talking to the Minister for Works and Infrastructure, they just concluded their nationwide, tour, to review some of the ongoing projects, It's important for the ministry to do that time to time. First-hand information is very significant. That's why we've always been seeing President Adamo Barrow going up and down. Even when it's a smaller project, as far as it's the money from our coffers, he will go and see whether it is done the way it was asked to be done. We'll be talking to the Minister for Works, Ibrahim Asila. He will be here, and we'll engage him. From there, we were supposed to talk to, okay, it's updated. Then Ade Drame, we'll be talking about the 60 years of independence. Ade Drame will be here, and he will be taking us through. On Saturday, we were here. Mr. Mboj was on air with, the head of media at the State House. You were all together on one program discussing. Masane Sise was also here. Tijan Masane Sise, a very good historian. He gave us an insight. Why, Mr. Mboj Bahulo? Gis nga sa points yi ak sa analyzation you don't enjoy. Lolly, you watched the program on Saturday?
I did not watch.
No, why, Mr. Mboj?
You're gonna get out in the sense that you're going to invent words. Man, I cannot invent words. Analyzation.
No, I don't know. You know why?
You're an inventor.
We will come. Yes, we will come back to that. But there is no mistake. Mr. Adedrame called me the VJ. I am the VJ.
VJ?
Yes.
Vice Principal? I don't know. What is VJ? VJ? What is VJ mean?
We'll be right back after the break. Then the program is going to continue.
Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Q Money.
Thank you very much. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde, and be reminded this program is officially and proudly sponsored by Q Money Sunu Kalpe, the most reliable mobile wallet in the Gambia. When you want to send money, you want to buy credit, you want to buy data. On our Q Money wallet, if you were to buy data for $10, on Q Money, you are buying data for $5. You understand? So what are you waiting for to activate that Q Money wallet? It's safe, sound, fast, and secure. I've seen mobile wallets whereby other mobile wallets where you want to send someone money and you accidentally buy credit. You understand? Imagine if you were to send someone $5,000 worth of money, and you buy $5,000 worth of credit. Because, I've seen people who were in that situation, and they keep crying, and, getting their finances becomes very difficult. And the safest thing about Q Money, once you want to send someone money, it will ask for your confirmation. It will ask for your OTP. It will ask for your password. So there is no mistake on Q Money. So what are you waiting for? Yeah, so Lole, let's proceed, my dear.
Okay, so we have the African
the
proverb.
code, let's move on.
So it reads, what an old man sees from the ground, a boy cannot even see even if he stands on the top of a mountain. A boy cannot see even if he stands on the top of a mountain. Wow. Wow.
How do
gis dara.
Yeah.
Interesting proverb.
Is that not even beyond seeing? They are not only talking about mountain and the other,
no,
but it's telling you the wisdom.
Exactly. Here.
Beyond seeing with our naked eye.
That's it. The seeing with the inner eye, with the mind's eye, as we used to call it. So that perspective,
exactly,
understanding,
experience.
Experience.
Because when you say old, then you have lived
Yes.
the experience,
Experience.
you have lived the perspective. So you can see stuff happen. Then this one, young,
Wouldn't see it.
energetic, would
Absolutely.
stand on a mountain but still
Couldn't
cannot
see
see. So the proverb is really very interesting.
Absolutely.
I
And
think
the second part, I think, is interesting. A boy cannot see even if he stands on top of a mountain. So here, I'm thinking that bit would mean it doesn't matter what position you have
Thank you,
in the
Mr.
world.
Thank you.
I think that maybe that is crucial as well. As long as you're young, you can have all kinds of titles and positions in the world. It doesn't necessarily make you wise.
Sure.
You do not derive wisdom from titles and positions.
Hides it.
Yes,
That's it.
you
That's it.
get wisdom, you accumulate it, it gathers over the years and accumulates, with age,
That's
as
it.
it were.
That's-
I think that is crucial, a crucial part of this.
That is the
quote.
perfect explanation for this proverb. That is it. You've just killed it. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Telling you experience is the best teacher. What an elder have gone through. A child is just starting. Dafa am yoo xam ne sax si office bi fii da ngaa dégg Mr. Mbodj mu ne ma ne son ñun xam nañ yooyu.
léegi nii ñu ngi ko doon waxtaanee fii Valentine's bi.
xam nañ yooyu gisoo bu ñu waxee Valentine dama ne ñun ñoo ko yëgut waaye xale yaa ngi koo dunda.
mi ne waaye time boobu noonu.
waaye ñun ñoo si jiitu. xam nga si the proper perspective mooy this yeah. xale yi what doesn't matter ban age ngeen nekk. I was there once. So I have a clue, as it were, so neki at bobo. Why the problem moy, binga am moy, man age ma am amangulen ko.
No.
You see, I can see you, but you cannot see me at all.
No. That's it.
That is really the crucial bit. So Glen Fong yen young, we were there once.
You were once young.
I can tell you things about that as well.
No. Footpath la rek.
We only have to listen, then you tell us.
Absolutely. Footpath la rek. Yow foo jaar. yaa ngi ci beneen end bi. yaa ngi toog di xool xam nga ne. kii lu moo daj. balaa moo àgga fii. understand nga. Life is funny, Mr. Mbodj. dama toog ma xalaat. ma ne bu nekkee fan bu gudda la ak wérgu yaram. we will get to your age.
Wow.
You were once young.
Absolutely.
You understand? Why you still young?
Well,
Uncle ga, bul netam yotam living.
that's it. No, man, the important thing is just look at it, grow old gracefully. Hang on, what I mean. I'm not young at all. Maybe I'm not certain youthfulness. Certain friskiness still to my character, to my being. Why, I'm not young. I don't even want to be young. Been there, done that. I don't want to go back to others. I just want to continue from Emrek Nehna.
Mr. Mbodj, kon yow time you've
Mbadu sufi yamon sax mun ne.
You know what I mean? What else can you do about it?
No.
You know what I mean? I really not going to waste my energy thinking about it. If you know what
inevitable.
I just want to think about now. What is it I can do now? What is it I'm doing now? And that's it. Whatever tomorrow, well, fine.
Interesting.
Exactly. So now we'll take a look at the African
I thought we've done that.
wow,
Yeah,
the African code, the
newspaper.
newspaper review rather, and I'm seeing the Point newspaper here. Let me try opening it, to see. But if at all my director is having them, let them project them on the screen so that we can take a look at them, But for the meantime, Mr. Mbodj, let's talk about the interview between His Excellency President Adama Barrow and Aliou Ceesay. When they talked about the third term, President Adama Barrow said, okay, my party is too young at the moment. I don't think I should it's a wise idea for me to step down at the moment and, leave the party. So I need to groom it. It's like the NPP is still a baby, according to President Adama Barrow.
That is true. NPP is still a baby, and he needs to groom his party, fine. If he wants to stand for a third term, his party endorses him, why not? Because legally there's nothing to stop him to contest in a third term. To me, there are no issues. There's nothing to talk about there, really.
Sure. And Gambia, we have our votes. People vote. If he decides that, I think my party is still young, yeah, that is his idea and that is his, thinking. But Gambians have their say at the end of the day because we determine through votes. So, he has all rights to say, yes, I'll still be there. At the end,
this is the thing. Because I do hear the moral argument that, well, fine, we don't have it in our constitution, granted, but what about the spirit of it? You say you do have the spirit of things and the letter. When we cannot apply the letter here because it's not in our constitution.
Sure.
But the spirit of it, can you follow the spirit of it and just step down and not go for a third term? But to my mind, that's an unstable area. Let us stick with the law.
True.
Because when it comes to the spirit of things or morally, that's a very murky area. We will always disagree. What does this mean? What does that mean? And besides, politicians don't follow that.
Yeah.
Let's just be realistic. Politicians don't follow that. So with me, I just follow what the law is. The moral bits, I don't know. I don't go heavy on that aspect, really. I want what is clear and precise and we can follow. It's not in our laws. So let's try to put that clause in our laws and then we can apply them. But for the rest, it depends on what NPP wants to do. It's not anybody's business.
No
really.
way.
So let's move on. Before this weekend, that was last week, alleged murder cases, one in Bansang Sukurkunda and the other one Latrikunda, around the Nemo Kunku end. We've seen people brutally murdered at some point, cut off some of their body parts, you understand. The latest is the woman, the vendor from the Latrikunda market. Murder cases.
Another one in Dipakunda as well.
Exactly. Murder cases are becoming rampant. And when you talk about it, people will tend to tell you it's the advent of social media. Now you tend to see almost everything, but these things have been happening in this country.
Yes, I'm not sure. Yes, you're right. I'm not sure whether one can blame social media for murders or attempted murders or all these nasty, seamy stories that we've been hearing. And that incident appears to have been a ritual, killing, taking body parts and the rest of it. Yes, when these things happen, perhaps what social media does, and perhaps what media does generally, is that it will take examples. You may have 3 or 4 examples, but they amplify it in such a way that you think it's an epidemic going on.
That's true.
So that's it. But you don't want to sound alarmist either. Overreaction is just as dangerous as underreaction. Don't be complacent either. So yes, we're certainly hearing these things, and people will be think that there are security issues and the like.
Sure.
We also hope that the police are taking these things into account. All the incidents that we've reported. How were they investigated? What's been going on? Are we taking them to court? Are we apprehending suspects? How is the legal process going? What's going on? Because that matters as well. So I think that's the important thing for us.
It's important sometimes we engage our, law dispensers. We ask them, how far have we gone with previous investigations. I mean, let's talk about the case of the young lady that was brutally murdered around Busumbala and the young St. Peter's school girl, you understand, with the brother or cousin. They were allegedly murdered by someone, according to what is said. So the Mandinari incident, the young lady that was murdered in her house. So these are investigations that are still pending. And sometimes we need to know how far have we gone with these.
Yeah, I think that comes the media, because we need to hold the police also accountable. We need to know from them what updates they need to give us regarding these things, because the public really need to know, or else they think it's just going on and on and on again. Nobody knows details about what had happened before, account of, you know, such cases. Like he said, this case have been going on for past 2 years now. We haven't had the conclusion of the case, you know. So police really should do more, by, even though they're giving details or reports of, you know, when it happens, they come and say, yes, police are investigating this case. We are aware of this case. But at the end, what is the final decision taken against culprit? You know, that is really important for the public to know. Of course,
it is reassuring. You know, when crimes are being committed, it is reassuring that our police can investigate, apprehend suspects, you know, go through a legal process. That's part of it. But again, when you don't get the sense that we are investigating and prosecuting, doing the stuff that we should be doing, that's something else. So it is important that, absolutely you're right, the two cases that you just cited, for us to understand at what stage
they are,
you know, sort of dealing with it.
Exactly. So let's take a look at the incident that happened at the GTSC ground. A scrap metal dealer, I mean, you know, was blamed for starting the fire. And, you know, it's an unfortunate incident, but I can call it a fortunate one. What about if this was our new bosses, the new fleet of bosses? It would have been even more dangerous and a big loss to the nation. This is a very big incident as well.
And I think it's also a lesson that, you know, should be learned, especially for the scrapped dealers. Because in the manner they do these things, they really need to be cautious about it. Because you can't be, you know, so naive, you know, doing certain things. It has to do with electricity and stuff like that.
Safety. On Saturday, we were in the office when we heard in the evening, and we sent a reporter, and for that they went to cover it. Of course, when these things happen, at first you're thinking, is it arson? Or was it unintentional? Here it appears that it was unintentional.
Sure,
but perhaps safety issues would come into it. You know what I mean? How much was he thinking about safety? You know, how sensible was it what he did, that sort of thing. So you learn lessons from it, and then you see how you can avert, prevent that sort of thing happening in the future. That's the thing, yes.
And I think also, like you said, safety, when they're trying to do, I think they should, you know, have a place where they will dedicate specifically just to cut scrap. Because imagine if it have, you know, escalate to other side.
Absolutely.
It could have been worse.
It could have been worse. So this is it. But we've seen a general sort of deficit in our thinking regarding health and safety.
Because I remember I once did a story on scrapped metals. And I visited a few places that they gather these metals. But, you know, the safety is just zero there. You know, people don't care how they go into it. And you see them walk anyhow.
Well, even the Serakunda Mosque incident, where a scrap metal dealer was electrocuted and he died on the spot. I mean, so these are all things that should be put into place. But these are some of the things that you have to take up as an individual. Your safety.
Your safety first.
It needs to come first.
Because recently while I was in Jambur, on Saturday lights were off, so I asked why, because that is very unusual. So they were like, after that incident where like the workers were electrocuted, so now whenever they are going, you know, to fix these poles, now it will switch off for 3-4 hours until the men are done, then they will come down. I'm like, oh, okay. So now they are taking safety measures because, you know, a disaster has struck. I think sometimes it is too late for us to act. Before it happens, let's just prevent it from happening. Let's secure our, you know, selves first, and then go on to work.
Sometimes it takes disaster for people to learn and then try to redress, try to rectify whatever were the deficiencies in the system that caused the disaster. You're absolutely correct. Here, what we really need is to reorient ourselves, you know, in a manner that will be health and safety aware, as it were. So it is everybody's responsibility. Yes,
because
when it comes to certain public work sites, we must have certain regulation in place that authorities enforce. That is one aspect. All individuals, we should also be aware of the health and safety concerns within what we're doing. Whatever task I'm doing, there could be health and safety issues that I must also take into account.
That's true.
As an organization or company, I must insist that wherever you're working, there are health and safety regulations being followed.
Yeah.
So at every level, really, we must all think like that for it to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For us to be able to prevent. Some things are preventable, really.
Really?
But it's just the way we are.
It's just so unfortunate for this dealer because he have paid money already. And now this happened. So it's like a big loss for him.
But this is it. Yeah, you lose in the end.
You lose in the end.
If you do not give it the appropriate thought in the beginning as an input, then the outcome could be really.
So the Minister for Public Service is here talking about the increment of salaries for civil servants. I mean, you know, these are things that will also help, I mean, fight certain, you know, corruption, you know, you can call it and the like. So it depends. How did you see that, Mr. Boyd?
Especially right now, the way the economy is and the cost of living, we all know that. So any increment would be welcome. Is there anybody who's gonna say no? As it were. But what you mentioned there, the corruption bit, I have a suspicion that you could have given us all 100% increment. But if I'm a greedy person, or I'm materialistic, I like possessions and stuff like that, that will never stop me. The 100% increment will never stop that.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So our so-called corruption is much more complex than that. Because you tend to see more of what they call white-collar corruption. But people like that, they've got the house, they've got the money, they've got some money reasonably well. Yet that will never stop them from
doing these acts.
So let us be careful what we mean by corruption, really. We think that poor people, they don't have money and all of that. That is the main driver of corruption. I disagree.
You know, the reason why I put it that way, when you talk about corruption sometimes in the Gambia, they'll tell you our salaries are not enough. You understand? So they try connecting it into the reason why certain acts have been done by certain individuals. You understand? They'll tell you police bi mungi taxaw ci kaw yoon bi salary bi doyut. You know, mungi taxaw ci naaj bu tanga bi motax muy jël xaliss ci driver yi.
You know what's happening? But to me, that is very reductionist in the sense name. Yes, money plays a part, but it is just one amongst many others. So you cannot reduce the whole problem to that monocause, to one cause. There are many causes.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. You've already existed the whole time for the newspaper review. Thank you very much for reviewing the papers with us. And we hope to engage you more this week. So now we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll engage the Minister for Works, Mr. Ibrahim Silla, on the recently concluded, nationwide tour to review some of the ongoing projects. So we'll be right back.
Q Money e Orange Money Johnny weɓini nuldugol mbuɗi mi yetoma joni hiɗa wawi nuldude mbuɗi iwra ko Gambia ɗo yaha Sénégal e Q Money wallet ma on eyyi ko honno wonɗa e fadde mi yetoma udduto Q Money account ma on joni fuɗɗoɗa nuldude mbuɗi e teriɓe ma ɓe waɗon ka Orange Money nder Sénégal fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi hiɗa wawi noddude Q Money customer care e 133 Q Money suñu kalpe ɗum no yaadi e sartaji. Q Money anin Orange Money ye bulodi nyola pour ka kodi kio sone yandi ka bonan Gambia banko kan kata Senegal banko kan anin Q Money wallet ika mune batu imuna fan Q Money account wala sign pour ka dati ka kodoki iterimal anila dimbayal kana anin Orange Money Senegal ni lafta ku Senegal sotola je Q Money customer care commandi 133 Q Money suñu kalpe ñing sartolle bala. Q Money ak Orange Money ñoo lëkkaloo pour yombalal leen yónnee xaalis bàyyi ko Gambia dem ba Sénégal ak Q Money wallet looy toog di xaar dawal léegi nga ubbi Q Money account pour nga mun a door di yónnee xaalis sa xarit ak sa mbokk yi jaarale ko Orange Money Sénégal léegi pour am si lu leer mun nga call Q Money customer care si 133 Q Money suñu kalpe lii dafa ànd ak sarta yuñ tëral.
Mitoma. First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte, rifled in!
Korealo neko anila Q Money wallet isa Q power sanno katafo wulitan saba andung ita fenjola. Ibe minkela ibanna Apple download la wala yestati.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde, and the co-host of this program is Loli M. Kamara.
Yes.
Yes. Now, Loli, let's move to the
next segment
of this program. And in the studio, we have the minister responsible for works and infrastructure, Honorable Ibrahim Silla. And recently, they were on a nationwide tour, to review some of the ongoing projects. Before the program started, I mentioned it. I said it's important sometimes for you to go and gather first-hand information than just, receiving reports from people. So you should be able to tell them this and this is what we want. So, Honorable, it's good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. Good morning to your audience as well.
By the way, that's a nice suit. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So, before we talk about, we discussed, the tour. Let's talk about the key priorities, as a minister.
It's a very big ministry. Thank you so much. We are responsible for transport. And when we say transport, it includes land transport, aviation, and maritime. And then we are also responsible for all public infrastructure projects. So that makes the ministry, and also public buildings. That makes the ministry very, very big. We have 4 strategic priorities. Priority 1 is to provide cutting-edge infrastructure for the people of this country in terms of roads and also maritime highways, and also a cutting-edge infrastructure for the aviation industry. In addition to that, we have as a strategic priority to ensure that we provide an infrastructure that withstand the test of time in this country, and that cuts across board. And also to have in place a transport policy that actually embeds, all the different transport mechanisms that we have in the country, to have a master plan that serves as reference for the implementation of some of these projects. So these are the core strategic priorities of the ministry. Now, how we go about implementing these strategies also include different layer of priority settings in terms of infrastructure for roads and bridges, in terms of providing modern government buildings, public buildings and facilities, in terms of policy orientation towards having a safer maritime industry that actually withstand the test of the issues that we fear in other countries, like toxic waste dumping in our seas, robust monitoring of our waters with the collaboration of the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Fisheries, but also having a robust port that can bring in efficiency and turnaround time for the businesses. And then above all, to have a modern aviation facility, which very soon we will launch that concession process also, where we'll have a new terminal building and also new facilities and equipment to deal with some of the perennial problems that this government has inherited.
Exactly. So let's head to, can you tell us the main goal of this store?
Well, this is a routine process for the ministry. Since I came to the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, I make it a policy that every 3 months, every quarter, we will go on site visits to look at various things, challenges inherent in the implementation of some of these projects, the progress of the implementation of the projects, the quality and also adherent to standards that are set in the contract documents, but also to look at key issues in terms of design, in terms of personnel, and also in terms of coordination among the various players, in the field. Because you have the contractor, you have the consultants, you have the National Road Authority, who also has their engineers in the field, but also engineers from the Ministry of Works. So how they work together to provide this technologies, but also infrastructure, is critical for me, knowing that a lot of funds go into some of these roads. Building 1 kilometer of road is extremely very expensive. So it is in the overall interest of the government to go around to see, how the projects are faring, what are the problems, what are the issues, what are the communities saying, because that is also very critical, being the final beneficiaries of these projects, getting their feedbacks as we are implementing the project is critical. So it helps the ministry and it avails us the opportunity not only to rely on what we have been told by our field workers, but also to see for ourselves. And then you can see that when we go on these trips, we spend a lot of time walking on foot on the various projects to look at the defects, to look at issues surrounding how the work is done, because you don't want to do this type of work only to come back a few years to see that the roads are not properly done. So we take this very, very seriously.
What is your impression after touring the whole country, especially at the places that are really dear to the government?
Well, remember we are doing right now almost 600 kilometers of roads across the country. For example, Hakalang we have 84.5 kilometers. Kiang West we have 87 kilometers. Across the country we have new projects 365 kilometers. Then you have the 50 kilometers of the OIC projects. You have other projects that the NRA actually is implementing. For example, the Salikenye to Badibu, Jabakunda, then also from Bani to Salikenye, which is about 13 kilometers. Then we have Kerawan to Njawara, about 11 kilometers. Then We have from Burfoot going all the way to Banyakang, Madiana, Kunkujam, Mariama, to Tujereng, which is about also 13 kilometers. So in all the work sites that we visited, tremendous progress has been achieved.
Okay.
However, there remains a lot of work to be done in many other areas. We spotted a lot of issues that we recommended course correction during the tour. But overall, we are extremely very impressed with the progress of a lot of road projects. And we hope that the Hakalang will be finished for inauguration in May this year. Kiang West also will be finished for inauguration either April or May. The EPC projects for Sanyang and Gunjur will also be ready at the same time. We have scheduled to inaugurate the battle hardened for phase 1 and 2 this month, and President will launch the third phase of battle hardened, which will actually see the development and construction of the side lanes, so that those who have nothing to do with the major highway will be using those side lanes. We hope to also finish the 50 kilometers by April of this year, and then hopefully launching will be May. There are certain roads also that are part of the overall road construction projects of the 365 kilometers of roads that will be actually ready for sectional completion. If the President wants, he can inaugurate those ones, or if he so desires, he can also wait to finish the lots, because we have divided these 365 kilometers into 9 lots. So Njao Loop, for example, which goes from Jao going all the way to Karolwaf to the main riverside. That one will also be ready for inauguration. The one coming from Kunting, going all the way to Bani, and then Yona, all the way to Lamenkoto, should also be ready for inauguration by April, May. The Basse Manekunda Loop going to Dembakunda Akuta, Dembakunda Koto to Numuyel, most likely will also be ready for inauguration.
Okay.
And the Basse Angalfuta Road inside Basse Town, and 2 other concrete roads in Basse should also be ready within that period.
So what determines, how to prioritize a project? What determines that?
Well, we first do a needs assessment where we look at a number of issues. Connectivity to different communities, but also linkage with markets across the other side of the border. Because remember, you don't want to build a road that leads to nowhere. So what we are looking at, especially from either side of the River Gambia, as you know, the Gambia is divided into half by the River Gambia. So if we are on the south bank of the River Gambia, you will notice that most of the roads that we do traverses across different communities linking to a major road in Casamas to enhance trade and also facilitate commerce and also access to major markets on either side of the border. The same consideration is also given if we are on the northern side of the river. However, within the overall strategic orientation of bringing in community connectivity within inland, we also look at access to major health centers, access to education facilities, access to major farmlands, especially now that we are into commercial agriculture, and also access to major towns. So these roads, you will see that when they start from a rural community, small rural community, they must link several communities to a major town, or a hospital, or a health facility, or a high school, or a farm.
The likes of Dembakunda is
Yes,
linking to Basse.
Because if you look at Dembakunda, Numiel is just a few kilometers from Sotumasare on the highway. So you will see that links, because there's a road from Numiel. No, there's a road coming from the highway to Sotumasare that goes into where you have those contests, the Grand Marabout where he resides. And then there is no branching road that goes to Numiel.
Okay.
So we connect that Sotumasare road going to Numiel, and then Numiel to Dembakunda, to Manekunda. So now that loop in Basse will now be closed, so that you don't have to take the Basse
to go to
highway to go all the way to Sotumasare to come to these little villages.
Okay.
So it's like a corniche, as they say it in French.
Okay.
You know, so that is a big, massive relief for the people in that area. Before, it used to take them an hour to reach to their communities. Now it's like 10 minutes or less from Numiel all the way to Basse. So you can see how the downtime has really improved. Now, if you look at other roads, for example, the one that we have in Fitufula, going all the way to the highway in Karantaba, that one also links all the major villages in that particular area up to the border with Senegal. And then it comes back again to the highway. So that particular loop also links all those communities now that were cut off since independence to the major center in Karantaba and also the health facility in Karantaba. But it also makes now easy for ambulance services to pick patients and probably transport them to Jambur or Bansang. So that is basic. In the rural areas, it's very fascinating because most of these places were actually cut off from major facilities. And their only hope of transport actually was dependent on horse carts and other very crude means of transport. And as a result, they decided to fate that anytime someone was sick, it used to be a mammoth task to get them to, health facilities. Anytime someone was in labor, it was extremely very, very dangerous, especially complicated pregnancies. And anytime they harvested either their groundnuts or the vegetable produce, it was always a nightmare.
Difficult for
to get access.
So now, reaching this stage, what were some of the comments you received directly from these residents?
The people.
Well, naturally, they're extremely very happy. But because they have been in neglect for so long, there's a lot of impatience also going around. Because most of them don't understand that building a road is a process.
Sure.
You just don't come and build and fit and go. It requires a lot of engineering work. It requires a lot of planning. It requires a lot of financial mobilization. It requires a lot of involvement of manpower needs. So all those put together, sometimes road works can be slow, especially in many of these areas where water tables are very high. So you need to devise a lot of engineering strategies. So I have seen that impatient in many areas, but that also encourages us to double up. Because there should be no excuse when we say we want to finish the road in 3 years and it keeps extending. So that's one thing that I draw a line. And even the president, that's one thing he draws a line. Yes, some of the roads we had severe challenges because they started during the time of COVID and a lot of priorities changed. People were completely demobilized from the work sites. So bringing them back after the COVID in the late 2021 also required a lot of planning and a lot of resources. But now that we don't have those type of challenges, definitely we are witnessing tremendous progress on many of the work sites.
Are there any public-private partnership, for these projects?
Well, interestingly, the way road construction is done in this country, as we used to know, has been two processes. Three. Either directly supported by our partners through grants.
Okay.
In fact, that has been the main issue of our road construction in this country. I mean, we have to wait for the benevolence of partners to give us a grant to construct these roads, and sometimes it takes a lot of time. Then we also have what we call loans that we contract from partners or from banks to build these roads. Well, interestingly now, because of the debt level of the country, the Ministry of Finance frowns on loans to finance these roads.
Okay.
Because it has to be a concessionary loan. And getting that from a lot of funders, especially borrowers, is extremely very difficult. With the exception of maybe oil-rich countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and some of those countries.
Honorable, I would like to know what is the cost for building a 1 kilometer road? Just 1 kilometer.
Yeah, let me come to the third one, then I'll come to it. Then the third one is government funds. And interestingly, apart from the battle hardened and the 50 kilometers, almost all the 800 or so kilometers that we have built or building so far actually are all coming from the local funds. Now, getting back to your question, if it is double surface dressing, for example, in the rural areas, double surface dressing is different from asphalt. And double surface dressing is also different from laterite. So we have different types of roads. The laterite one is the one that you see the red stone and then nothing is added on it. Then the double surface one is the one that you build the base course, you have the laterite, up to the base level. Then you apply the prime, and then you also surface dress it with basalt with bitumen added. So the asphalt is the one that you have, for example, on the battle hardened. If they all use the same format, the base up to laterite, then prime, and then the layers are different. This one is asphalt, and is thicker and it lasts longer. So coming back to your question, it depends where you are in the country, because for example, in the rural areas, we don't have much problem in terms of relocation of services like Naweg water pipes, electricity poles, and also the broadband telecommunication cables.
Yes.
So we don't have those problems in many of the rural areas, except say in major towns like Pasir Barsang and other places.
Yes.
Now, if you are doing those type of roads, for example, in the rural areas, where you also have, in most cases, borrow pits, like say where you get your laterite, the red stone. Most of the time they are just adjacent to the road, or maybe less than 1 kilometer.
Not very far.
So you can see that in a day, if you are fully mobilized and you have a lot of trucks, you can even do 100 trucks or 30 trucks
a day,
minimum a day. That one, you will need about between 20 and 23 million dollars per kilometer.
Per kilo?
Per kilometer.
Honorable,
because remember,
that's a lot of money. Huh?
Yes, that's a lot of money. People don't understand, because for example, for laterite alone, every kilometer you need a minimum of 535 trips of laterite. This also exclude the basic groundwork that you do first.
Hold on, and that's a kilometer?
That's a kilometer.
Wow.
I mean, that is why we go on these tours, because you have to make sure that those design specifications are met. And then for basalt also, I can't remember the exact ton of number of basalt that you put there, but I can provide that to you. That is also huge. And also remember the fuel that goes into this, because almost between 18 to 20% of the cost is also goes into fuel, because you'll need fuel to move the vehicles around. You need fuel to move the machinery around. You need fuel also to ensure that the generators are on, because in most of the camps, you know, we don't have electricity there. You know, so that is huge.
Wow.
Then you also have the prime material, the bitumen that you use. That is also all sourced from Senegal.
Okay.
And there is a number of tons that you use per kilometer. Then your own overhead cost, you know, maintenance of the vehicles, payment of the staff.
It's very, very expensive.
If any contractor makes anything between 5 and 7% per kilometer, then you are lucky. Overall, most contractors actually, in fact, they come out of the construction work without breaking even.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, because especially those that persistently delay. For example, let me give you an example. When we signed the contract in Hakalang, the fuel price was $45 per liter. Today is 80 something.
87.
Right? 87. Now, when we signed the contract also, the price of bitumen was 62 to 65. At some point, it went up to 120,000.
So how do you manage when these things change overnight?
Well, we also have what you call price escalation, but that can only go for a certain amount. You know, so that is why, you know, most of the time, contractors who persistently delay, they do it at their own cost. You know, because the more you delay the work, the more costly it becomes on you. You know, and in some contracts, even when we say, for example, 1 year, you know, we don't want to do price escalation, because price escalation can only kick in when certain times elapse. So those things are there. And they also pay a lot of taxes. You know, you have 10% withholding. You also have other taxes, you know, that they pay. So it's extremely very expensive.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ibrahim Silla, for coming on QTV this morning. We've already exhausted the whole time. Road construction is not
really
a joke.
It's not.
Wow.
It is easy for a lot of people to sit and
sometimes
criticize.
talk about the negative.
Yes, and especially in places where you have a lot of waterways. A minimum that you use on one cell culvert will cost you nothing less than 1 million to 1.5 million, and in some cases can go to 2 million.
Oh my God, that's definitely a huge price.
But the good thing is that you know, when these roads are done, you see the real satisfaction there. And this time we are not only building the roads, but we are also bringing the facilities such as solar street lights in all the major roads that we are doing now. In all the 365 kilometers, in Hakalang, in Kiang, and all the other places. In every rural area where we build the roads, we bring in
lighting systems.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We hope to engage you more in the future.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you so much.
So viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, then we'll talk to Adidrame, head of QTV News, on the Gambia 60 years of independence. We'll be right back.
First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte, rifled in! Out.
Hidandi da wawi sodu de cash power e Q money wallet maong te ayobata hai hunde ida wawi sode ko yeha guluji chapan $30. Kawatano baby wadu dial star 323 has joka sartaji ding subada option 3 fi Q power. Ontumasi suboda register meter number sa gaini natina number meter maong. Wadu dial star 323 has joka sartajiding suboda option 3 fi Q power. Ontumasi suboda ko jelu falda sodude. Awawa hebude ko bura Andre free QCell airtime. Watu kala soduda Q power. Fi hebugol hen ko labi. The wine do the 133 Q money sunyu kalpe.
Mitoma. First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte. Rifled in! Out.
Korealo neko anila Q Money Wallet isa Q Power Sanno katafo wulitan saba andung ita fenjola. Ibe minkela ibanna Apple download la wala yesta 323 has dial B yebula sartol noma. Follow ye register mita tombo. Fulanjao yela mita number dundi. Yesta 323 has dial B yebula sartol noma. Follow iba number 3 la detela puri yakiu power soto no. Fulanjao iba number 1 la detela katombondirke hapola ilafta min sanna. Amanda Wola, wati ye kodo dundi purka Q Power San, QCell beso la free bonus lale. Ni lafta kuma koyo moyele nyinto, kumandiroke 133. Q Money, sunyu kalpe.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Now let's move to the last segment of this program. And in the studio we have Mr. Adidrame, QTV's head of news. And we are talking about the Gambia's 60 years independence. And QTV is celebrating that already.
Big time. We're celebrating it big time.
Big time.
Big time.
And when I say big time, we started on Saturday by having a panel discussion. So what we've decided here at QTV is that from the 1st of February, for the whole of February, it is Diamond Jubilee month. So we're not just waiting till the 18th, you know. So we started with this panel discussion. You had Tijan Masale Sise, you had Ami Bojang Sisoho, you had Jul Denjai and Mboj. They did the sort of introduction to this kind of month.
So what they should expect.
What people can expect from this Diamond Jubilee month. And we played a couple of kind of mini documentaries, we're calling them. They're like a news item, but slightly longer than the usual news item. So they kind of took you over the journey that Gambia has been on. Because, you know, we're talking about Diamond Jubilee, 60 years of independence. And something big has happened. And, you know, what has happened to the Gambia in that time. So what people will be seeing over the course of this month is between sort of 18 or 20, maybe 25, keeps growing. As I say, they're sort of mini documentaries, and they tell the Gambia story. So what is the Gambia story? It's not just politics, is it? It's everything that makes up the Gambia. So you'll see the history of the armed forces, the history of the police, the history of the UTG, and the history of education. We'll also have one on prominent women, because countries, when they tend to celebrate independence, it tends to be about father of the nation type thing. And I'm as guilty as anybody else. I'm doing a series now which is called The Fathers of African Independence for every African country. And it's been mainly looking at the men. But what about the women? What about somebody like Shola Mahoney, first Gambian woman to get a PhD? You know, she's still around. We will speak to her, you know. So we will highlight, you know, significant people, significant events. You know, people will see a lot of Hassoum Cisse. He's obviously the country's preeminent historian. He can tell us a lot. So whether it's about politics or it's about climate change he will be there.
Lolly, it's important for QTV to involve the younger generation too. This is the 60th independence.
So we have, what does independence mean to them? And, there's been this debate in recent years about when did we fully become independent? Was it 1965 or was it 1970 when we became a republic? And for some people, the crucial detail about that is that up till then, if a case went to the Supreme Court in the Gambia, you could still appeal it to the Privy Council in London. But when you became a republic, that was cut off. The Supreme Court here was the final court that would hear your case. So all these things have happened to us in the space of these 60 years. And what has been Gambia's role? We've been involved in ECOWAS. We've been involved in the OAU before it became the AU. We've been involved in the OIC. So Gambia has also had this kind of international dimension, and we want people to see that. And we think that by the time people have seen all these documentaries, they'll be really proud, and they'll think, wow, little Gambia, we did all of this. Yeah, we did. So I said, handicrafts in the Gambia, the regions of the Gambia. We talk about the kind of diversity of the Gambia in the terms of ethnic groups that we have in the Gambia. All of that will be reflected in that, and we want people to see, when they've seen all of this, they will get a complete picture of the Gambia. You're not going to get it in a 1 hour documentary, a half-hour documentary, or even in, I say, the 20 or 25 ones but you will get a much broader picture of the Gambia. There's one on the River Gambia, for example. What was it used for in the past? What is it currently being used for? What could it be used for in the future? Things like that. And really, we want people to be really enthusiastic and embrace this Diamond Jubilee.
It's good that you mentioned the River Gambia. I think the River Gambia, we are not using almost 70% of the river.
This is it.
We only use it for sailing, maybe, and for other purposes. But there is a lot of things that we can use this river.
But even for the sailing, we don't do as much as we should. So you'll see, I've been speaking to a guy, and I think I shared his video, a guy called Will Hunt, a British guy, who canoed the length of the Gambia, and he was amazed at what he saw. And one of the things he said is, why is it so little used, when you see the potential of what it is? So not just the fact that he canoed it with a Gambian guy called Chris, he also saw hippos, he saw crocodiles, he saw snakes, he saw birds along the way, and he was like, why don't I hear more about this when people talk about the Gambia? So all of that. So we've got a feature on the flora and the fauna of the Gambia. Sports.
The print media in the Gambia.
Print media in the Gambia, broadcasting in the Gambia.
The festivals in the Gambia.
All the festivals that we've had throughout. So it's a really, and of course we cannot forget contributions of Gambians in the diaspora. And we want people to see those in the diaspora as more than just a kind of ATM, people who send remittances. It's not just about that. They do a lot more. Some of them, they'll come back to the school, their alma mater, they'll buy equipment, they'll buy equipment for hospitals and so on. Let's reflect all of these things so people get a sense of, Gambians really engaging with their country.
So far, I'm really excited with the coverage QTV has put up towards the 60 years anniversary, the Golden Jubilee. Because as a young
Diamond Jubilee.
So as a young citizen coming up, I'm really excited and looking forward to, seeing all the achievements and milestones that Gambia so far has made from independence to date. Because listening to the first interview with Kasum, I was really amazed. I'm like, whoa, because he talked about the diplomatic ties, with South Korea, Senegal.
South Korea and North Korea at one point.
Exactly.
We had ties with both.
Senegal. And, how Gambia has really grown to have educated people. Because from independence, we did not have that. Gambia was not very strong in terms of a lot of things. But, reflecting now, you can see a lot of Gambians educated and coming back to
and achieving high positions across the world. And one of the things that we also wanted to look at is we've spoken to people who've experienced the very first day of independence and all the subsequent Independence Day celebrations through the ages. So Daniel Gomez is doing that particular story, and he's speaking to some people, and of course we've got footage of all of that, so people will see a lot of footage from the past. From actually we go back to the 50s, not just from 1965, because in some of the stories we talk about what Gambia was before independence and then from independence to now. So you'll see stuff from the 50s. I downloaded a speech of Sadauda on the first independence anniversary where he wasn't speaking English. He wanted to tell people in Wolof and Mandinka about independence. So we have that speech.
All right, so, that would be interesting. I've never heard Well, I mean, any of his speech in
well,
Wolof
you will hear it
so
here
on QTV. Those are things that makes it more fascinating.
Of course.
You
Because
understand?
it's like you're talking to directly the people that really are concerned, and you're talking to them in a language that they really understand.
And that was the reason why he made those speeches, because he realized that not everybody in the Gambia spoke or understood English. So you can't just speak English and then expect people in the rural areas to understand what independence was all about. So he explained it in Wolof and he explained it in Mandinka. And you know, and at least that captures most of the country, not all, but you know, a huge, you know, so between English, Wolof, Mandinka, you've managed to sort of encapsulate a fairly broad span of people. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yes,
obviously history is
excited.
my kind of subject, so I would be excited. But I think people, when they will see the quality of it, we hope they will appreciate it, and they'll appreciate why we've done it and why we are doing it. And
well, when you look at Gambia, as much as the little problems that people talk about, Gambia, it's a beautiful country. You know, it just depends for people to go and explore the beauty of the country. There are many places that you can get peace of mind and you can see the beauty of the country. You know. Let's talk about the Jambur.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, we have Miss Jambur here, but we have to go there.
You
know, my cousin who came, and Angela, who's a regular watcher of this show and is watching right now, she's here in the country right now, and when I picked her up at the airport, that was the first thing she talked about. Even before I'd even mentioned Jambur Festival, she wanted to go, and she did. She went with her daughter and her grandson.
She was there.
She came, and she really had a good time. You know,
wonderful
really
time.
enjoyed.
So you know, things like that. And this year apparently was one of the biggest in terms of the you know, sort of visitors from abroad and from the rest of Gambia, and we want to see more of that. And I must say, one of the things that's kind of driven me, because as I said, you know, history is very much my subject, is that when I used to see Korka go out and do street talk
and ask, and
he would ask people things that they really
and
should
they
know,
cannot answer,
and it really used to disappoint me. And I remember asking him once, I said, have they stopped teaching history in the schools? No, because that's the sense you get, because people knew so little. And it's just a fascinating subject, because as I said, the history of our country is not just about the politicians.
No,
it's about everything that makes up this great country. That's true. And that's what we want to reflect, and that's what we hope we will reflect by the time people have seen all of these.
So what are we planning for independence? I mean,
for Independence Day itself, of course, we will have again, you know, a panel of experts, and we will be giving commentary throughout the day. You know, we will link up with the national broadcaster, as most people will, but we'll have our own panel, and we will have people who will give us the widest and the broadest, you know.
Well, there's something interesting to that will be happening independent. I mean, the talk here, the master group from talk here.
Yes,
that's the old police band.
That's right.
From talk here,
they're helping us
here,
commemorate.
You know, I mean, imagine. I mean, people coming from that part of the
all
world
Turkey,
just to come and celebrate the 60th
Yes.
independence of Gambia.
Nice.
So it's going to be remarkable.
Yeah, when I saw the flyer, I was quite excited about it, because it's slightly unusual. We know about the usual parades at McCarthy Square and all of that. So we will cover all of that, of course. We must, and we have to. And you know, that will be something that, you know, people have always looked forward to. And we've got people reminiscing about, you know, the first time they were at McCarthy Square as school children, and how it sort of progressed and how it changed over the years, you know, became a bit more militarized and kind of, you know, based around rather than the children.
The other day I was talking to Dad at home. Last week we were talking. I said, Dad, you're independent, the first independence,
that
can you please recall? He said, I went marching barefoot.
No, look at that.
Yes.
Look at that.
He said, I went marching barefooted. I mean, you know, those are things that, I mean, they bring you down to the memory lane.
Well, they really do. And so we've got footage of those Independence Days, and even before Independence 1953, when they celebrated Empire Day, we've got very good footage of that. You know, this was when obviously we're part of the British Empire, and you know, it will be colourful, it will be splendid, and it will be detailed with that, and we're trying to make it entertaining. So we want people to see history, as I said, not just a kind of dry, boring subject, but that it's something that lives and breathes. You know, so yeah, and we hope we do a good job. It will be for people to tell us whether we have or not, not for ourselves. But you know, as I said,
we are hoping to deliver.
We're hoping, and if people saw the news on Saturday, they would have seen the first of the broadcasts, and if they watch today, they'll see another, and tomorrow. So on every news bulletin, there will be one of these stories as we go through the days, the ones that I've already mentioned,
So what are we
and
gonna
many
do?
more.
What are we going to do for the international community to be part of the independence as well?
Well, for example, you can't have independence without speaking to somebody like the British High Commissioner. So we will be arranging that, because obviously we got our independence from Britain. So, you know, and of course, you know, and as I said, in some of the stories we talk about the kind of international dimension that the Gambia has played on the biggest stages, you know, ECOWAS, founding of the OAU, all of these things. We've been there, you know, but sometimes we don't kind of shout loud enough about what, you know, you talk about climate change, you talk about the Banjul Declaration. Why do you think it's called the Banjul Declaration? Because it was done here.
Yes.
You know, it was signed here. So all of those things, you know, people need to know. You know, climate change didn't start yesterday, you know. Way back, Sadauda was somebody who very, very much into conservation of our sort of flora and fauna, and we have to reflect that, and we hope, you know, that people will embrace it. So in terms of the international community, of course, you know, they are invited. Every ambassador and high commissioner will of course be at MacArthur Square, given the significance of it, and hopefully some heads of state may come, you know, Nigeria, Kenya, who knows. You know, these are people where they had recent inaugurations. Ghana, you know, we had a presence there, and we will hope they will reciprocate. I hope
we'll be putting a picture of the Marlborough House. I mean.
We've got both Marlborough House and Lancaster House. Those are very important events. And you know, we mentioned you know, Lancaster House when there was only one female, and you know, we feature her as well, you know, Rachel Palmer. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be broad.
Nice. We wish you all the best of luck.
Yes, we have a lot of work to do from now till February end.
Some people have a lot of work to do. Some people have already done their work.
Some people have already done their work.
Name no names.
So thank you, gentlemen and lady. Lolly.
Yes.
Cool Bantale Ferre.
We are Bantale. After Mr. Tunkare, 5 minutes. We still want to talk about independence.
But well, in Fuller and in Wolof, if you can just tell people about some of what we're expecting, so that they will also feel part of it.
All of us.
Okay, comme suma boss num ko don waxe rek fu nekk ni ñu ngi am li nga xamne moy February bi dugasina inshallah coverage independence lañ don wax from 1st of February be fu February di jeex rek every day QTV dinañ asilo xamne dafa nekk xibaar boo xam ne dinañ fàttaliku démba fan lañ dooree depuis buñ amee independence ba fuñ toolu nii dinañ seet mbir yu bari yu mel ni education yu mel ni wér-gu-yaram yu mel ni culture yu mel ni aada ak cosaan bi yu mel ni journalism print media bi si biir réew mi yu mel ni festival naka lañ ko daan defee lu bari suñ dëkkuwaay li nga xam ne mooy suñ géej bi ban njëriñ lañ doon am ak naka lañ koo njëriñoo lu bari bari dina ñëw comme lu ñoo wax rek mooy na ngeen continuer di seetaan QTV parce que dañ ne Diamond Jubilee te dina nekk loo xam ne du yomba independence celebrations bi du yomba 60 years lañ wax xaw ma naka lañ ko dee wax si olof sanji taw woor
juróom fukk ak benni at ndax juróom fukki benni at
how man I'm not sure about that
how do you say fukk ak juróom benni at
man xaw ma ba léegi waaye xam naa ne daal sanji taw wooro la sanji taw wooro gannaaw la juura so Gambian over dawo danding and you move from a talti na fon soto kabri independent to abol bulu for bi katakuol kala le kakibaro yitandi membe kala kudimi alonko abe molu kala mutande la sutuntol dindingol me alonko sign be wuli kan sign number menka na boss felenti Mr. Adedrami na plano soto le ferol me alonko mba jiberi kala bunda jama la banko kan jambiri independent time andu nimmo kuma balba kachala fana independent wala kola pour ka jura de kenyin sanji taworo amanke karita woro sanji taworo
abarka
ni historian already amla hasum sise albakala jala jama television ananyon jama
abarka bake ala barka mbadi ngolu kibarol bantale thank you Mr. Ade thank you for coming. This is all we have. You know, thanks to all the people that contributed for this program to be a successful one. Until we come here again tomorrow, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.